Have you ever received something and you're like, what is this? Like, why are they giving me this? What's up, family? It's 6:30. It's time to get a little sharper. Welcome to the Anti-Negativity Network. Back here again, making it do what it do, and just to encourage you and hope you're having a great week. And you see who I got beside me, so you know it's already getting better. So,
hello, everyone.
So this is Dr. Deborah T. Sims. So my wife, and I'm so excited to have her here with me. But I'm here to do what we do. We here to do what we do, and just thankful to be here, right? And so, so we're gonna continue to go down this road that we're going down, and continue to hopefully say something is said that can encourage you, something that can motivate you, something that is said that will just get something, remind you of something, or get you going, or push you, or nudge you, something that's just going to propel you in the direction you're supposed to be going. So that's what we're here for on 6:30. And so, you want to say anything, baby? You want to say hello
or
whatever?
No, just hello.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to diving into the word.
So, just so y'all know, we come on here live, and I'm telling y'all, better than right now is coming. I'm telling you. And one of those better than right now is coming is that eventually y'all gonna come on here at 6:30, and you're gonna see this live and direct. We do this live. Is no cutting and pasting. We do it and then we put it on here. What happens at 6:30 happens at 6:30. And whatever is said, there ain't no editing. It is what it is. So it's been like that since I started this April 1st, 2020. I have no intent on changing that. And so I'm just thankful that here 4+ years later, we're still here doing this. She's still here with me doing this, and I'm so thankful for that. But eventually, y'all will come on here and you're going to be able to read what's on my shirt or what's on her shirt. And I had to try to figure out what it's saying on the shirt, because you'll be able to read it clearly. And technology is coming so that we'll be able to do that. But anyway, we ain't there yet. So we're going to stay faithful over the little bit we have, which is a cell phone and a microphone. And we're going to continue to push forward and make it do what it do. So as we always do, let's get it started before we dive into it. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go.
The word says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all things will be added. So all things, a camera will be added eventually.
There it is. Boom. There it is. She spoke the word. What do I always tell you? Put the word on it. Put the word on it. She just put the word on it. And and the word gives life. The word gives life. I'm telling you, if you get into this word, I'm telling you this right here. Don't be scared of that Bible. Don't be scared of that word. It's life. It's life-giving. It just, man, it can get you excited about the future and where you're heading. But you got to know it so that you can get excited about your future, right? Enemy is trying to do all he can to keep you from reading and understanding and knowing the promises of God, that what he has promised you. Now, you got to do something to get it, okay? That's why this shirt today, work, okay? Sorry to cuss at you, but you got to work. And when you put in the work according to what he says, I promise you, his word would never return void. It can't return void. It will not. It shall not. And so when you do what you are called to do, according to his word and his promises, he got you. And you can't do nothing but be excited and just keep going. All right. So we're going to keep going on to 1 Kings chapter 9. Okay. We hit chapter 8 last week. And so we're moving on to chapter 9. We've been rolling with Solomon, talking about Solomon and seeking wisdom. Okay. Because a lot of us have knowledge. We got knowledge of a lot of things, but we don't really have the wisdom to go with that knowledge. And that's the reason why we're doing a deep dive into Solomon. We ain't rushing through it, taking our time, and whatever the Lord says, whatever the Lord leads us, that's where we're going. We're going to keep rocking with him because he has yet to fail us, and there's no reason for me to think he will. And so we're getting deep into his word because it's giving us a blueprint right here on being successful. He's given us a blueprint on the things that we need to do to get where we want to be. And success is different for everybody. So I can't sit here and say successful in this or successful in that. You know what success is for you. You know where you're supposed to be heading. And if you don't, you continue to seek him. Okay? Just like the scripture she just quoted, it applies to what I'm saying right now. You seek him first and his righteousness. All these things will be added. And so wisdom will be added. Knowledge will be added. Finances will be added. Health can be added. All of these things can be added. Relationship, okay? Within your family, outside of your family. The relationship with the people that you need to help you grow and get you where you need to be. All these things will be added, but you got to trust them. But first thing first, please start to read this so that you can understand what it is he's promised you. Okay. So that's the reason why we're in Solomon, because we need and want that wisdom. Okay. And so chapter 9. All right. I think I done set it up enough, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go with chapter 9. So, I took some notes to keep me on task. Okay. Cause y'all know I get real excited on here, and she with me here. So she might can help keep me. Yeah. But anyway, let's do this. So chapter 9, here we have Solomon has finished building the temple. It's basically taken like 20 years for him to build the temple. And so it starts off with right here from the very beginning. God taps him on the shoulder again and says, look, bro, let me holler at you. Solomon, let me talk to you for a second. Look here. And this is the second time. Okay. Now, we always talk about threes, right? Okay. But that is the second time. So evidently, if God is coming to him the second time around to say the same thing, there's something. Okay. Now, really, reality is when God says it once, that already is something. But when he comes to you again, saying something a second time around, you might want to take heed to that. So a lot of times we miss it because we hear something. Spirit is telling us something, but sometimes we reject it because we don't really get it, or we don't really understand, or we might not even want to accept what's being told to us. You can plug in that, fill in that blank on your own, you know what I'm saying? But here, this is a situation where God comes to Solomon and says, hey, and can you read that for me, baby? It's Solomon, I'm sorry, where am I at? Verse, not one, I'm sorry, I apologize. Y'all bear with me right here, starting, but if
you or your descendants abandon me and disobey the commands and decrees I have given you, and if you serve and worship other gods, then I will uproot Israel from this land that I have given them.
He's given a stern warning. Now, I actually got to get you to go back a little bit. Go back to the next right here. Read that from him. But he's given warning. Now, we're going to go back a little bit because I told her the wrong place. I'm sorry. I told you this is unedited. So we're going to go back a little bit more because there's something that's said in here that I really want you to get. Okay. And this is the first point. We're going to get through our points, but I promise you it won't be before you long. But there's something here that I need you to hear. Go ahead.
Solomon chapter 9, verse 4. As for you, if you...
Not Solomon's, First Kings.
First Kings chapter 9, verse 4. Thanks. As for you, if you will follow me with integrity and godliness. David, your father, did, obeying all my commands, decrees, and regulations, then I will establish the throne of your dynasty over Israel forever. For I made this promise to your father, David. One of your descendants will always sit on the throne of Israel.
So this is God talking to Solomon. He's telling him, look, those two, the integrity and godliness. I want to deal with that here real quickly, but I want to go to the second half first. I'm going to come back to integrity and godliness because I think that's important for us to hear today. But when he tells about keeping my decrees, and what it said, decrees and what else it says? The commands. Okay. Hear and understand this. Now, we're in the Old Testament. Okay. And you'll hear some folk out here talk about whether or not the Old Testament even matters anymore. The New Testament, because of Jesus, we under the New Testament law. Please understand, Old Testament has a lot of principles in it that we have to abide by. And that's the reason why I want you to read this verse. Go to Matthew for me. What I said, Matthew, what I told you, Matthew, the 5th chapter, 17 through 19. I want her to read that because I need you to understand this. Old Testament law, okay? It's the principles in here is what we still have to live by, okay? So we can't get rid of the Old Testament, but we want to thank God for Jesus, because if we really had to uphold the law that's in the Old Testament, we ain't gonna make it. We better thank God for Jesus. And this is why we need to thank God for Jesus. Right here, Matthew 5:17 through 19. 5:17.
Don't misunderstand why I have come. Mm-hmm. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. Mm-hmm. No, I came to accomplish their purpose.
Yes. Keep reading.
I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not even the smallest detail of God's law will mm-hmm. disappear until its purpose is mm-hmm. achieved. Mm-hmm. So if you ignore the least commandment and mm-hmm. teach others to do the same, you will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. But anyone who obeys God's laws and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
So I want her to read that because I need you to understand. God went to Solomon and told him, you keep my decrees, keep my laws, keep my commandments, do what you have been instructed to do. You do those things, I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to take care of your descendants, and somebody in your family is going to always be in position of authority. They will always be on the throne. They're going to always be in that position to control things, to make things happen, right? They're going to be in that leadership position. Okay. And so this is a promise of God to Solomon. Okay. But I wanted her to read that because I need you to understand it, because we try to relate, and please jump in anytime there. But in today's world, we understand that Jesus came and he died for us, right? Okay. He took on the sins of the world because God knew we couldn't uphold the standard that's in the Old Testament. But the principles in the Old Testament, we still have to use, we still have to live by, we still have to go by. And those two words that started off that passage of scripture in 1 Kings, it said about godliness and it said about integrity. And I want to spend very little time on those two words, but it's vitally important when you're trying to make some things happen, when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to build, when you're trying to foster relationships and so forth, you're trying to build a name for yourself. Those two things have to be a part of the equation. It have to be integrity, godliness. Come on, baby.
Well, I don't know if you're going to touch on it because I haven't seen your notes, right. But it's just like in our lives today, mm-hmm. God blesses us and he tells us some things that he wants us to do. Mm-hmm. And then we turn around mm-hmm. and do the opposite, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he was very specific when mm-hmm. he spoke to you and said, okay, mm-hmm. I want you to do this. Mm-hmm. I can give you an example in my life. One time God told me not to return to a certain place. Mm-hmm. Don't ever return back to that certain place. Yeah. And I know it was the voice of God because I have not returned back to that same place mm-hmm. again. I don't know. I know that place kind of represented some bad stuff that I had experienced in the past. Mm-hmm. So it was his way of keeping me from not going back down that road again. Mm-hmm. Had I disobeyed God and went down that road, I don't know what could have happened to me. But
some things you just don't want to find out.
Some things you don't want to find out. Things you just, again, with Solomon, God gave him these rules and regulations mm-hmm. and decrees. Mm-hmm. If you do this, then your descendants will sit on the throne forever. Yes. But we'll see how Solomon didn't do it. With all that wisdom now. Yeah. With all of that wisdom. He did not do it. Yeah. Humans.
Yes. The human part of us, okay? That doesn't mean there's not something here for us to learn, because there's a lot for us to learn. And sometimes, and I've said this before I even started, I used to always say this, we do not have enough time and enough opportunities to make all the mistakes. Some mistakes we got to learn from others, okay? And so we doing a deep dive into Solomon, and hopefully you will see the good, but you also understand that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, how that can also hurt not only you, but can hurt some other folk around you. Okay. So that's why it's important that we do a deep dive into this, and we're taking our time. Ain't no need to rush in this. God's word ain't going nowhere, and ain't no need to rush it, because we need understanding. We need wisdom. We need knowledge, right? And we got to take our time to get, we can't rush it sometimes. Sometimes you got to take your time. It's just like when you try to get a good steak, you can't fry that thing and hurry up. Well, you can't put it in the microwave and think you're going to get a good steak. You got to put that sucker in the oven and let it take its time, right? Then you got to let it rest. That's what we're doing with God's word right here. We're taking our time. We're going to let it marinate. We're going to let it cook slow, and then we're going to let it rest so we can get full understanding and wisdom and knowledge from this. So we're going to keep it moving, because I get excited about it. I get excited. But this right here, he's telling you wisdom. He's telling you godliness and integrity. And y'all know in this world we live in, integrity is a little, we don't see as much as we should be in this world today when it comes to integrity. Now, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word integrity?
A reputation, influence, trying to do the right thing.
There you go. And see, when it comes to integrity, it's really about you doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching. You in the house all by yourself, or you at work all by yourself. You sitting at the desk and you got control to do whatever you want to do. But something says, you know what? That's not what you should be doing. That's do the right thing. It takes integrity right there. And godliness, that's the reason why, I think there's a reason why he put those two words together, integrity and godliness. They go together. Okay. I think you got the point from there. We're going to keep moving, because I got a few more points before we get out of chapter 9 and get out your way. But the next point I wanted to get to is we move on down in chapter 9. And here's a part right here. And I started out with the question, have you ever received something and you wondered, why did they give me this? Like, this is no good to me. And you have that situation. Now, if you remember a couple of chapters ago, there was a King Hiram of Tyre, and he had formed an alliance with Solomon because he had a good relationship with Solomon's father, David. And so, long story short, Solomon helped supply. King Hiram helped supply Solomon what he needed to build the temple, right? And all the other things. It wasn't just the temple, but the temple was the big focal point of what he built. So, they had an alliance and they was working together and they doing things. And so when it was all said and done, King Hiram received some land. And matter of fact, he received 20 towns. And it's ironic. It took 20 years to build it. And at the end, he gave him 20 towns. Okay. But King Hiram looked at these towns and he like, man, what is this you done gave me? Like, bro, what I'm going to do with this? This is no good. Matter of fact, he named it, Kabul, which means worthless. So he wasn't warm and fuzzy, wasn't feeling warm and fuzzy. Yet he did give him 9,000 tons of gold. Pounds. I'm sorry, 9,000 pounds of gold. 9,000 tons, a whole lot, right? 9,000 pounds ain't exactly light either. But 9,000 pounds of gold, he gave it to him anyhow, right? But, what I got to thinking right here, and we all can relate to it. Just think about, that time somebody gave you that Christmas gift and you like, what the heck is this? Like, what? Like a toothbrush,
Right.
I'm messing with it.
I give Dollar Tree gifts.
We get Dollar Tree gifts every year. But no, that's just what we do. It's all good though. She better not change because we end up using it. But anyway, I guess the point I'm making here is that sometimes we have received gifts and we know, like, man, did they even give any thought to this? Like, is this just you just trying to get rid of some of the stuff that you don't want? You want to give it to me? That's kind of how he felt like this, right? King Hiram, that's what he felt. But what I got out of this is one man's junk is another man's treasure. Okay. Because what I also found out later on, Second Chronicles, so you go a couple books over and you'll read where Hiram gave that land back to Solomon. And it talked about Solomon changed his focus and worked on building those lands. So please understand that sometimes you're going to give some folks some stuff and they ain't going to see it. They ain't going to understand it. So if you end up getting it back, be thankful because there's evidently something for you to do with it. They missed it. They was just holding it for you. Okay. So there are some blessings out here that's just on hold for you. Okay. So get excited about that. There's some stuff out here that people are just holding for you. Okay. It's true. Waiting for you. Okay. They just holding it. Okay.
That's true.
They just holding it. Okay. Your time is coming. Okay. It's going to happen. So get excited about the future. Just because they holding it for you, they making sure they keeping it safe for you. Okay. They keeping it safe for you. Okay. But it's yours. So get excited about that. I know I'm excited. I'm excited. I know I'm excited. So true. Come on, you had something?
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah. True. All right. So that was that point right there. I just heard that when he said that they just holding it for you. Okay. They just holding it for you. It belongs to you. But right now, he got you in a holding place right now because he needs you to focus on some other things and get that straight. So that's what happened right here. He had Solomon give that to Hiram. Hold this for me right now. That's not what he said, but that's basically what took place. Hiram, hold that for me. You don't understand what to do with it. I know what to do with it, but right now ain't the time for me to do. So you hold that for me, bro. Let me go finish up some other things I got to finish up. I got a few more things I got to take care of. And so then I come back and get that. Since you don't want it, I come back and get it later. Holding that blessing for you. Man, I'm excited. Oh my gosh.
That's one of those moments where you say, look at God.
That's right. There it is.
Look at God.
If you ever experience that right there, you ought to get excited about that right there. You ever experience, like, you didn't expect that to come your way. Like, where did that come from? But you knew there was as soon as they gave it to you, you knew that was a blessing.
That's right.
You knew it.
And that it came from God.
You couldn't deny it because you weren't looking for it. You wasn't expecting it. You didn't ask for it, nothing. But it was right on time and it was exactly what you needed. And then you took that and you just took it to another level. And that's exactly what happened right here with Solomon. Okay. Last point, and we're going to get out your way. But this right here, and I want to speak to your entrepreneurial spirit on this one right here. The last part of chapter 9. And every time I tell you, read it for yourself. Please read 1 Kings chapter 9. Read it for yourself. But in 1 Kings chapter 9 right here, the second half of this right here, he told you, look, it was a situation where Solomon was really just building. Again, that's the reason why he had to get that land to Hiram, because he needed to take that out the way right now, because there was some more stuff he needed to set up. So what did he set up over here? I'm glad you asked. That's the reason why you got to read chapter 9 for yourself. But what he did, he set up some things where he took some of the towns, okay, and he took some of the people, and he built cities. He built self-sufficient cities, okay? He built supply centers. He said it right here. If I'm lying, don't it say supply centers over? You find it for me. I know it's in there. Supply center. He built supply centers up in this area right here somewhere. Supply centers. Okay? That's what it said in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Did it say it?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I ain't going crazy. Supply centers. So what that tells me, Amazon started out in the warehouse. Mm-hmm. Now you got Amazon trucks, warehouses everywhere. Right? So he built things to sustain itself. He didn't, and it wasn't just for him. He built it and he used the people to build it. Yes, it talked about forced labor because it talked about some of the people that weren't destroyed, but he, instead of destroying them, put them to work. Built up free commerce. He built up businesses. He built up opportunities. And then he took his own folk, the Israelites, and put them in positions of power, supervising, fighting men, It says fighting men, supervisors. He put them in charge of the workers. So what we're seeing out here right now in the world, all of us can relate because we work on a job and we have a supervisor, and you go on up the ladder, you got the CEO. Okay? That ain't nothing new. That all started right here in the Bible, right here. But Solomon is showing you how you build this thing. So when you building your business, understand what you are trying to set up for down the road. It's not just for right now. It's for down the road, because you're trying to build something that's self-sustaining. And here's the reason why you want to build a self-sustaining business, because you can't physically do it all yourself. His wisdom, his riches came from simply putting things in place and letting it operate. I don't know how else I can explain that to you or drive the point home, but I want to speak to your entrepreneurial spirit. Okay. We're not trying to get over on anybody, but the reality is you as a leader, you are setting up the business to make it self-sufficient so that you don't have to put all your physical labor into it, because you can't sustain that. Come on, baby.
Yeah, but just a word of caution. Mm-hmm. As Ron said, Solomon used forced labor, which is kind of like slavery kind of thing. Yes, so, you know, of course, you
can't do that.
You can follow this example to a T.
You can't do the forced labor, but you better pay them. You better make sure you pay them. Okay. But the structure is still in place. When you have people in charge, you're putting people in place to handle the business, because he understands he can't do it all. It started with him, but that doesn't mean it has to continue day after day with him. He puts it in place, let it work. Go back and check and make sure everything's flowing like it's supposed to. You tweak, change, do whatever you need to do to get your business going, keep it going. But at the end of the day, understand that you physically don't have enough time and energy to do it all. So you need to build it so it can be self-sustaining, so that when you are not physically able to do it, it's still able to continue to work and continue to grow and continue to build. And that's exactly what he did right here. He used those towns. He used what he had, and he built on top of it. He didn't just say, okay, I got it. I mean, if you go back to Genesis, he talked about us having to work, you know, in the Garden of Eden. He didn't tell Adam to, okay, just sit back and chill, bro. I already did it. No, he told Adam, no, you still got to go to work, because you got to go maintain this. You got to maintain this. You got to build, you got to grow, you got to plant, you got to take care of. He talked about, God said that to Adam in the Garden of Eden. Okay. He gave him everything, but he still told him, you got to put some work in, bro. So don't think that Solomon was void of that. Solomon showed you how to put in work to build it, to grow it, so it can be self-sustaining, so that you physically don't have to do it all day, every day. That's part of wisdom. That's what he had. Got anything back? Mm-hmm. I think y'all got the point today. All right. I hope you did. Hopefully something was said that was blessed you, something that sparked something in you. And even if today is not, even if it doesn't apply today, maybe down the road, something was said today that will remind you of why you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, when you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Something. I just hope it have blessed you. Thank you for tuning in. We love you and we appreciate you. We're going to be back here next week, 6:30, making it do what it do as we always do. So as we always say, what you supposed to do?
Pray, plan, prepare, and proceed.
I put her on the spot. She wasn't ready. Go make it do what it do. Let's go. See you next week, 6:30. Love you.